Hi friends, Bev here from my half-acre homestead. One of the lovely things about being Canadian or North American is we have a great multicultural society, and with that comes some wonderful, wonderful foods. Today I'm going to attempt, and I say attempt because it's been many years since I've made them, I'm going to attempt to make pierogies. Another reason I say attempt is because I have this wonderful tool that I've never used. Normally I would take a jar and cut the dough out with like a cookie cutter and then fill it and close it. But this is new, and we're going to try it. So what I have here is some pierogi dough. And this is made, this is a very large recipe actually, but this is made with 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of flour, 3/4 of a cup of water, a teaspoon of salt, and 1 egg. As you can see by the color of my dough, I have whole wheat in my flour. And our filling is simply, this is mashed potatoes, lightly mashed, with chives cut in from my garden. And I'm going to mix in about a cup of shredded medium cheddar. We're just going to mix this in. I recommend you boiling and mashing your potatoes and allowing them to cool. Mine are still warm, which means the cheese is going to melt. But that's okay because it melts when you cook them anyway. So see, there we go. Cheddar cheese and chive pierogies. Now, let's see how well we do. We're going to roll out a piece of this dough. I'm going to put this aside until I need it. What that machine does is if you roll out the dough, and I'm going to have to put some pressure behind this, if you roll out the dough nice and thin to fit said machine, now that's supposed to do, I think, 18 pierogies at a time. If you roll it out, the way it's supposed to work is you roll it out, you fill the cavities with your stuffing, you put another layer on top, and you just roll your rolling pin over the top layer, and it's supposed to seal them. Now, I don't know how well this is going to work, but we're going to attempt it. And if it doesn't work, then we'll do it the old-fashioned way with a cutter, or a cup, or a jar, or whatever. We want to make sure that this is thin enough that it's going to be easy to cut through 2 layers, but thick enough that the stuffing isn't going to poke through when it stretches around the stuffing. When the, and I think, let's see if that's big enough. That's big enough. All right, let's just give this one more cursory roll here. A little bit more. I had pierogies first when I was a little girl. I think I was 8 or 9 years old, and my brother got married to a lovely Ukrainian woman, or a woman from a Ukrainian family. And one of the things on the menu was these wonderful potato-filled delights. Now that looks like it's going to sit just nicely. I'm gonna just kind of press down in the holes a little bit for room. Oh, that one's got a hole, so now I'm going to use a tablespoon measure because it just seems to fit just right on here. And I'm just going to do a tablespoon of dough, just like that, on there. Oh, this looks like it might work actually. That one has a hole in it. We're going to discard. There we go. Now you want to make sure that your potato goes into the cavity, not the edges, because the edges have to be clear and you don't want your potatoes too wet. your edges, that might be a bit too much, your edges have to be clear so that when you put the second layer of dough on top, that they will stick. If you have potato in between or mushes out in between your dough, that's actually a hunk of potato that didn't get mashed, it's not going to, the dough isn't going to be able to stick. So we don't want potato there. Now I'm going to pause the camera until I have all these filled, and I'll be right back. All right, hold on. Okay folks, we're back, and as you can see, I have filled my little pockets, and I've just gently pressed them down with my hand. I would do it with the rolling pin, except that it would mess up my rolling pin. So I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to roll out another piece of pierogi dough. I made extra because, well, it's a lot of work. It's, you know, it's a bit of work to make pierogies. So if you have the time to make them, you might as well make enough because that you have extra, because they freeze really well. I used to just buy the pierogies from the local Giant Tiger store or the local store, and I didn't really think there's something missing of that homemade flavor, you know. So this might not be enough dough. There's something missing of that homemade flavor that just, yeah, we're going to get a bigger piece here. This is a basic noodle dough is what this is. And what's going to happen when I'm finished with these is tonight I'm making roast chicken legs, and I'm going to boil a batch of these. 18 is a batch, and I'm going to stir fry some green peppers and onions and mushrooms and a bit of butter and salt and pepper. And then I'm going to boil the pierogies, and I'm going to serve the stir-fried vegetables over the pierogies with a side of sour cream, or in our case, homemade plain yogurt. Oh dear. This is turning out to be a lot of work since I added the extra dough. Let's try some more flour. This is really stretchy. So we just want to, as you roll it, try and pull it so that it spreads out faster, more evenly. And in a little cup here that you don't see, and I have a pastry brush, and in that cup I have some a bit of egg white and water. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint in between the pouches of pierogi, so that when I put this piece on and I run the rolling pin over it, it's going to make a seal, I hope. And it's a good thing I thought about that. You know, my days of working at the bakery are not all lost. You pick up tidbits. There we go. We never made pierogies at the bakery, but we did use an egg wash to seal. I think this is going to be big enough. It should be. And we're going to take our pierogi dough and our egg wash, and I'm just going to go all in between these, just so that we're going to get a seal with the dough. Where the potatoes would hold them apart, stop the dough from sealing, this will actually help it to seal. We're going to go all around the edges. There we go. That should do. That really should do. And is this going to fit? Let's give this one more roll out. Oops, I almost ripped it there. Let's give this one more roll out, and then we're going to see if my toy works. I actually bought this pierogi maker at the bakery where I used to work, and I've never used it until this point. So here's our lid. Here's our formed pierogies. And we're just going to lay this over top. Oh, it looks like it's going to fit, folks. Okay. I've rolled up the edge here a little bit by accident. There we go. Now, this is the way it is supposed to work. Let's give a little bit of flour on the rolling pin. And we're just going to roll this. And it's supposed to, the raised edges are supposed to cut, mold, and cut the pierogies. And it looks like it's doing just that. I just want to make sure I see the edges because I want to, there we go, do it sideways here. Now, I used to have also one of those little plastic things where you would put it in and fold it, but that was doing it individually as well. So let's have a look at our pierogies. We'll pull off all this extra dough from the edge and hope that, oh look at it, it's working, folks. Now, if this comes off as easily as they say, and if everything has stuck together, give this one more roll over the center, and we'll pull. If you can see what I'm doing, I'm pulling off the dough in between, and it looks pretty good actually. And I'm hoping, let's keep our fingers crossed here. I don't know if I'm doing this right because I lost the instructions to this a long time ago. Now, oh my goodness, look at underneath. We're going to give this one more roll to get the centers because these round pieces are actually divided. To get the centers cut nice, and you should be able to just shake this. But I'm going to flip it back over. Oh, look at the pierogies. I think I should have floured this, so I'm going to be really, really gentle. I should have floured the tray because the dough is sticking. But look at that. Pierogies. Isn't that amazing? I'm loving this. Let's try and give it a, I'm going to try and give it a bang here. Well, word to the wise, folks. Flour your pierogi form before you roll your dough out on it. Otherwise, it's going to be very time-consuming poking these out. But it works. It works out rather well, actually. So, when I make supper tonight, and you'll have to check my blog, because I will take pictures of this. I will show a picture of this. Oh, I forgot to actually take pictures of this. I'll take a picture of the cooked pierogies. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some water to a boil, add some salt, a little bit of olive oil, and that's the one that was a little wonky. A little bit of olive oil, salt, and when the water comes to a boil, you drop the pierogies in individually, and when they float in the boiling water, they're cooked. And you can serve them any way you want. Some people like fried bacon. Some people like just bacon and onions and sour cream. I'm going to do the sauteed vegetables with sour cream or homemade yogurt. So, this is Bev from my half-acre homestead. We just made chive pierogies, and these freeze really well. My recommendation is to lay them on a parchment-covered cookie sheet and put them in the freezer until they slightly freeze and then bag them up. Otherwise, if you put these all in a bag and put them in the freezer, they're just going to stick together. So, happy pierogi making! Bye-bye!